Yo, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. In a previous video, I think I mentioned that I was going to be trying to build a new step for my dog to get in and out of my truck. And today might be that day. Or it might take a couple days. Nothing goes better than a glass of wine and some power tools. Must disclaimer, do not work while intoxicated with power tools. I'm actually not, I'm just relaxing. But let me get some of the materials that we got out of the back of the truck. We'll get things set up and then we'll get started. It's gonna be a super simple step. I had originally purchased off Amazon. It did okay. It's not as tall as I would like it, and it makes a couple rattle sounds that my dog doesn't really like. Also, the top is a little bit too small. I thought it would be big enough, but it's not. So we're gonna build one that's slightly bigger so that she can have a little bit more footing, an easier time getting up and out of the truck. So let's get those materials out of the bed. All right, so we got all the materials out of the truck. What we got is some wood, right? Easy, simple. A little bit thicker piece of wood here, just like a long, slim, not really, I don't really know, I'm new at this. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep this at where it's at dimensionally, and then I'm going to build some legs out of these simple 2x4s. And then I'm gonna attach them here with some screws. We've got this mat from Lowe's. What I'm gonna do is I haven't figured this out yet. I might leave this edge piece on, I might not, but I'm gonna cut this to match onto here, and then I'm gonna screw into the corners as well just for extra stability. And then once I get the 4 legs put on, I'm actually gonna cut a piece of this into the length that supports between the legs here, because at the height of this, I want it to be around 15 to 16 inches. It needs to be able to get about as high as the truck, the steps getting into the truck that you might have seen in the previous video. Right now, she's jumping all the way from the bottom to the top into the actual truck cab itself. So that piece is probably about 24 inches, I think. So I'm hoping to eliminate a good amount of space. She can get up and down steps pretty well so far. So what I wanna do is I just wanna make it a little bit easier for her by getting this to probably about 14 to 16 inches high up, whereas this step that we got before is only 9. So it's a little bit hard to see on camera, but it's only 9 inches tall, and it's not too wide. So if we actually put this next to this piece, I mean, you can already tell that it's not gonna be even close to the length of it. And then width-wise, I mean, it's a little bit wider. So it just gives her a little bit more confidence getting in and out of the truck. And hopefully it gives her a better ability to maneuver in and out and not have to be jumping off about 24 inches high. Like I said, she has really bad hips. So I'm hoping that this works. This is my first attempt at doing some woodworking and some building. So it's gonna be super crude, super simple. Like I said, basic stuff here. Nothing crazy, but hopefully a learning experience nonetheless. So let's go ahead and let's get some tools and we'll get started. All right, tools. I'm gonna actually use this little jigsaw.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
That's one. If you want to see a video of me catching a gopher with that thing, we seem to be getting a ton of gophers, and that's a new pickup that I got. So if we want to watch a video about that, that might not be truck related, but let me know in the comments below, because I'm actually excited to use this. My neighbor has one, he's caught a bunch, but that's for another time. All right, so let's grab some holders, just in case I need blades. For the jigsaw, number 8's 2 inches. Drill. Definitely need some measurements. Get this just in case, never know. Pencil here. Might need that, definitely need that. All right, and then I almost forgot, you always need to make sure you got some safety goggles or glasses just in case, you never know. So always remember to have some safety goggles or glasses, whichever you have available for you. But try to always wear a pair of those if you can, just to protect yourself a little bit more from potential eye damage or injuries. Okay, so I just want to make sure I get the measurements correct. So I kind of wanted to get to right about here on this step. I think she's got a pretty good distance jump from here to here. So I'm thinking it's about that tall. So 14 to 16 inches would be about the best. That way it can get as flush up to this as possible, and give her a better chance of not feeling so scared to jump down onto like a step and then right off the step. So because it's, you know, you can always cut more off, you can't add more on. So I'll go with 16 inches to start, and then if it's a little too high at the end of it, then we'll just cut 2 inches or so off the bottom. Sounds like a plan. I'm going to sand this edge all around. I picked up a sander, a hand sander. I didn't have anything like this before, so I needed this. This comes with a couple different grits just to make it as smooth as possible. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna open this up, I'm gonna measure this and see what I'm working with, and I'm just gonna sand the edges really quick. Let's go ahead, let's sand this bad boy, let's measure these out, and then I'll check back in with you when I'm done with that. I'm gonna use these just on the edges to help me hold to sustain this a little bit more. That's sturdy. I like that. All right. All right, we need to flip it. I'm gonna do a light sanding with the 80 grit, and then follow that up by doing the exact same thing with the 120, super light, really easy. Just go over it, make sure I've got all of the imperfections and all the splinters out of it. And then this piece is probably done. I'm gonna be doing the same process on the legs once those are cut to size. So I'm gonna just sand all those. These legs are not going to be kind of retractable or folding. They're gonna be static. I kind of wanted to do them folding, but that was gonna involve a lot more money and work. This is just a down and dirty, quick, simple, cheap, effective step for that for my dog to be able to get in and out of the truck. So I'm not trying to get fancy with this. This is my first time doing it. I need to just set my boundaries, keep my expectations down here so that when I finish this, I mean, it comes out up here. That's the hope, you know what I mean? That right here is what you call a nicely sanded piece of wood. If you say so myself. Feels really smooth. That's one piece down. At least 4 legs to go. Okay, so we've got our pencil sharpened. Don't know if I did that right. Got our tape measure. So we're gonna do 16 inches on each leg, all right? So let's go ahead, let's get 16 inches on the tape measure. Make our mark. That's 16 on that one. We wanna make sure that this doesn't move anywhere while we're cutting it. All right, get one of our blades. You're gonna pull back on this, slide that in. You make sure it's lined up nicely to there. All right, remember this is where you have your eyewear, just to be safe. I'm also gonna put on some gloves, also for safety. All right, let's see what we can do. That is crooked. Got our first piece of wood. Like I said, it's a little crooked. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna use the same one as a guide. Just line it up, line it up. We'll try and straighten that out a little bit. Maybe I'll sand it or something down. All right, so we've got our legs, all 4. We just need to sand them down a little bit. It's gonna take some time. Yikes. All right, let's bring out the sander again. Hey, welcome back. It's been a couple days since I last filmed. I ran into a bit of a snag when I was creating this step. I didn't have a couple tools that I needed, so I ended up texting my father-in-law, who has a plethora of tools, and was able to bring over the step materials, the legs and the top that I had already sanded and gotten prepped, over to his house, and he was able to help me kind of come up with a good idea of how to make this step more stable than what I had in my mind. So originally I was gonna not use the Amazon step that we bought because it was too small and just didn't have the height to it or anything like that. My father-in-law had the idea of taking that same step, since it already had a good foundation to it, and almost just mounting basically that top piece of wood onto some 2x4s for support, and then onto that actual step from Amazon. So right now I'm gonna be finishing up the process of this step by adding on the mat to the top, and hopefully that's gonna give a little bit more support, grip, and softness to the wood topping so that Francine doesn't get scared or slip or anything like that. Okay, so this is the final product on the ground. It's roughly 11 inches or so high. I wanted about 14 to 16, but this actually turned out to be really good by adding the 2x4 supports to the top right here. So we added these up to here, screwed them in on this side, which ended up screwing into the bottom step. So if I roll this over, a little bit better view. So we basically were able to screw in to the bottom of it from the top. Pretty tight on there, like it's not coming off. For now, it's working out pretty well. And then we added some of these support legs on the side, just because when we put this down initially, there's a lot of overhang on this corner on both sides. And I was stepping on each side and it was kind of like teetering. So I could imagine that if Franny was getting in and out of the truck, stepped on the side and it teetered and stuff, she might get hurt. So putting these supports, right, gives us a little bit of room. Like I left a gap on each side just so it doesn't touch the ground fully. That way, you know, if she's getting in and out of the truck and we're on like a slanted driveway or something that uneven surfaces, she doesn't have to like have it tilted from the start, right? So she can get onto it, and the tilted surface, that gap will give us a little bit on a slanted driveway like ours, just a little bit of room so that it doesn't fully like tilt the top of it. It's kind of, I feel like it's hard to explain without seeing, but it worked pretty well for the first part. Like I said, I think I put the video in at some point, did a little snippet.
Good girl, go. Good girl.
You did it.
You did it, good girl. How was it? Yeah, can you come out now? Good girl. Nice.
Yeah, we basically are done. We just need to put the mat on it. So let's go ahead, put that mat on. All right, so we're gonna need to measure this one more time just to make sure we got the right measurements. So about 15 3/4, almost 16, 36 on the dot. I mean, I think I'm just gonna have to go for it, right? I'm gonna try and follow the leading lines on the actual mat. So hopefully that helps me out. So let's see. All right, so we got our cut lines, right? I just made a little bit of a cut to where I need to cut the rest of it. So we'll go ahead and just cut the remainder all the way to the end, and hopefully it matches up nicely. All right, so with all that overhang, I think I might need to just cut it some more. All right, that looks pretty good. So let's grab the staple gun. We'll staple into this, get it all situated. All right, so we got at least a couple staples in so far. I'm gonna probably put a couple more along this part, just because like when you pick it up, it's got some play into it. So I'll probably put a couple more towards the middle, maybe 3, and then I'm gonna put some all along this side as well, just to make sure that that's stable as well. So if she jumps on it, it doesn't move or anything. So let's go ahead and add that piece to it now. We might be done. That could be the final product, to be honest with you. I might want to put some on these edges, that just so they don't get pulled. All right, well, there you have it. I think we're done with the step. So we added on all the wood to this bottom piece just for extra stability. It's kind of what it looks like. I'd say weight-wise, I mean, it's definitely probably heavier than I was expecting, but it's really not that bad. It's just gonna sit in the back of the truck, so I'm not too worried about the weight that bad, but I think it turned out pretty good. This is what the top of the mat looks like. The sides, support legs on each side. For now, I mean, this looks pretty good, right? I mean, she's only 80 pounds, so it's not like it's that bad, but it supports me pretty well. And then what I was talking about with the corners is like, if she stepped on this, right, just this side, that holds me because of that piece of wood on the side. And then that holds me as well. So I'm pretty confident that this is gonna work out really well for her. I'm kind of in shock, being my first major go at building something like this. You know, with the help of my father-in-law and his tools, it really kind of solidified the idea. I think if you don't want to do the legs in the middle, you could probably do them on each corner, but it seems pretty stable at this point. Like I said, I'm pushing 215-ish on a good day, probably a little bit more. and she's roughly 80. That's gonna be it. I appreciate you watching. If you did like this video and just kind of how to make a step for your pet that might be a senior dog or having hip issues kind of like mine, just go ahead and like below. I'd really appreciate it. Share it with somebody who you might think needs this step in their life. Like I said, I really appreciate you watching this video. Thank you so much for stopping by on my channel. I'm going to be trying to make videos a little bit more often if I can. I think of some ideas. If you have any ideas or videos you'd like to see, whether it's photography related, car related, I'm not too good at the car part. I'm trying to get better, but that kind of stuff, you know, just comment down below what you'd like to see and I'll see if I can make a video of it sometime. So I appreciate it and I'll see you in the next one.